Valentine's Day is just around the corner, and I really wanted to get into kind of like a romance Valentine's Day mood, especially since it's still freezing outside here in Chicago. I feel like this is like the best way to kind of just warm my heart up a bit. So for the next 7 days, I'm going to be reading a romance book a day, and I will let you guys know which ones are good and which ones maybe to skip for later on. I have 7 romance books that I've already picked out. Some of them are much older, I just have not gotten to them yet, and some of them are brand new, like they've been released within the past year or so. So yeah, let's just jump into this week's TBR. So this week I'm going to be reading the Kiss Quotient, which I've heard absolutely phenomenal things about. This has been on my list for forever. I don't know that much about it other than it is a woman hiring someone to help her, to teach her to be in a relationship. She doesn't really know how relationships work all the way, and she wants to learn, and things happen. So I'm excited to give this a shot. The next book on my list is Witcha Gonna Do. I truly picked this book just for the cover. I thought it was very, very cute. To my understanding, it was released like December of 2022, so it's still pretty recent, and it just looks really adorable. So I'm excited to give it a go and feel all the witchy romance vibes. The next book people have been telling me to read for forever, and that is Red, White, and Royal Blue. I have heard a lot about this book. I've heard people absolutely love this book, that it's like a must read, especially for like queer romances. So I am excited to read it, given that it's taken me so long. But yeah, I also got a very beat up copy from my library, so it's definitely well loved. So I'm excited to give this a chance this week and see what it's all about. The next one is Roses in the Mouth of a Lion. This one is another queer romance, but from what I've heard, it's more of like a coming of age with romance in it, and I'm really excited. I've heard great things, and it's actually one of the shortest books of my week, which is interesting. So I might pull this out on a day when I need a bit of a break from reading all day. But I'm excited about it. The last physical book that I am reading is People We Meet on Vacation, which is another book I've been wanting to read for a very long time. My first Emily Henry book that I've ever read was actually Book Lovers, so I'm slowly starting to get into her more. I really loved Book Lovers, and I've heard good things about this. I've also heard very mixed things about it, so we'll see how I end up feeling, but I'm excited to officially get the chance to read it. Obviously this is also from the library, and it's also very well loved. So obviously people do love this book, but I'm excited to give it a shot. I also have 2 Kindle books that I'm really excited to read, and the first one is Anastasia by Sophie Lark. I've seen this popping up a lot recently. It's going to be my longest book of the challenge for sure. I know this is going to be a book that I'm going to be reading for the majority of the day, but it's supposed to be a like reimagining of Anastasia and kind of how her life maybe would have gone in a more magical world, and things like that. So it's kind of like a mix between like historical fiction, fantasy, and romance, but I'm very excited to give it a shot. The last book on my TBR, but the first book of my challenge, the book that I'm actually going to read today, is Lunar Love. This book just recently came out like a week or 2 ago, and it's kind of like a rivals to lovers, where you have 2 business rivals falling in love with each other, is kind of what I've heard. I don't know that much about it other than that, but I am very excited to start reading it today and start my challenge with this. So yeah, let's get reading. Alright, so I don't know if I'm the only one who does this, but I get so much secondhand embarrassment from contemporary romance characters. I don't know, there's something about them interacting in like really awkward ways where you know like they're gonna end up together, that it just makes it so much worse. There's been several times where I've had to fully stop reading and like take a couple deep breaths and like calm myself down because I just get so much secondhand embarrassment. It's like, why are you saying that to him? Or why are you doing that? Like, why can't you just... And I don't know, I do the same thing like while watching TV shows, but the awkwardness sometimes is a lot. The same thing happened for me when I was reading The Love Hypothesis like last year in another 24-hour challenge, and I'm telling you, contemporary romance characters, it's the worst because you know they're gonna get together and you know they're being a fool and like acting dumb in front of their love interest. It just drives me crazy. It just makes me lose my mind a little bit. So if anyone else is like that, you are not alone, because I do it all the time. Anyway, I had to take a bit of a break, a bit of a breather, because some of the stuff that the main character was doing in this was driving me crazy. But it's a good book. I'm really liking it so far. I really love the 2 different ways to be a matchmaker, and also like the 2 different like ways of looking at life and trying to deal with that. And it's very, very cute. It's very sweet. I really love some of the lines in here. But yeah, I had to take a bit of a breather because of some things that happened to these characters. But yeah, here's diving back in. Alright, so I just finished Lunar Love, and it was very, very cute. I really loved the kind of like, do opposites attract? Should you go with someone you're maybe uncompatible with on paper? Things like that. I thought it was very, very cute, and I loved the way that they did rivals to lovers, because they truly were, like, they were business rivals. I don't know, I thought it was very, very cute. I will say, because of the secondhand embarrassment and some of like the miscommunication trope that was kind of in there, which I don't love, it's probably gonna be a 3-star read for me, but all in all, it was a very good book, and I thought it was very fun and cute. So if you're looking for something to either kind of celebrate late the Lunar New Year or just have a really cute, fun, non-spicy romance, this is definitely one I think you should check out. Very, very cute. But yeah, I will see you guys tomorrow. Alright, welcome to day 2 of me reading 7 romances for 7 days. I am obviously in full cozy mode right now. I have a massive sweatshirt on. I just felt like today is just gonna be focused on mainly reading, because I'm going to be reading my longest book of the challenge off of my Kindle, which is going to be Anastasia by Sophie Lark. I've heard wonderful things, especially from my friend Emily Books, who has a really, really cute booktube. If you want to follow her, I'll have her linked down below. I absolutely love her. She's just amazing, but she loved this book, so I'm very, very excited to read it. But yeah, let's go. Alright, so I am kind of just getting started with the book, but I have just a few things that have been bothering me with it so far, that are just really preventing me from like getting into like a rhythm while reading it. I'm at like page 100 right now, and I don't know, there's just something about the way the world building is happening, the way character introductions are happening, that's just not sitting well with me right now. There's a lot being thrown at the reader, and obviously that makes sense. There's lots of like political things that are being built up. There's, you know, this whole world of like magical earth that Sophie Lark is kind of trying to make sense and different things like that. But it's just very overwhelming, which I don't love when fantasy novels kind of like throw you into the deep end in that way when there's lots of info dumping. I just don't love it. I'm really trying to give it a chance because I really do love like fantasy romance, historical fantasy romance. I think they're one of the best types of romance in my opinion, so I'm really trying to stick it out. But hopefully, given how long this book is, it'll get better. But who knows? Anyway, I'm just having a bit of a hard time with it right now, which is okay. Alright, so I just finished Anastasia. It's like 9 p.m. I am very, very tired right now. But I did want to say that I absolutely loved the book. It was just wild. Like, I was not expecting the magic to be so cool and so interesting. The romance was really, really cute. I absolutely loved it. It was one of the few that I think did enemies to lovers the right way. I have a hard time when it's like enemies to lovers, but it's not really enemies to lovers. It's kind of like, oh, we still kind of like each other. This one was like, no, this is like real enemies to lovers, and I really loved that. I loved the like political like intrigue that was in it. I think the book really needed to be as long as it did because it took its time while developing the characters, developing the story. All of the characters you kind of see as kids and then you grow up with them to adults. And it's just fascinating. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was really, really well written, which was just shocking how different it ended up being, because at the beginning, kind of like I was telling you guys, I was not loving it. So I'm really glad I kind of stuck with it because it just got way better. Every single moment got better, and I think I didn't love the beginning because they were such young children, and maybe that's why it was throwing me off. I highly recommend reading it. It's currently on Kindle Unlimited if you have that subscription, so you can get it free on Kindle, which is really, really exciting. But I would definitely give this 4 out of 5 stars. I really, really enjoyed it despite how long it was. But I am ready for bed, so I'm gonna go to sleep and see you guys in the morning. Good morning on day 3 of this challenge. I'm very, very excited about today's book, which is Witcha Gonna Do by Avery Flynn. I truly chose this book because of the cover. I thought it was absolutely beautiful. I mean, I just absolutely love the color of green and the little like, you know, details of it. It just is so cute. So I'm excited. Basically, I think the premise is there is like this witch community. It's kind of a alternate universe type deal, again, similar to Anastasia, where instead of, you know, like the normal US, it's full of witches. Salem has like a witch coven that lives there, all of those different things. And tons of magic. But this like really famous witch family has a daughter who doesn't have magic, and she falls in love, I guess. I think that's all I know about the story, truly. So I'm excited to give it a try and see what this is all about. Just realized the cover like matches my wall. But I am about half through this book now, and I'm a little disappointed. I'm trying to give it the benefit of the doubt because I'm not done with it yet. But there's just it just seems like a very mediocre romance book. Nothing really stands out about it. I was really excited about like the witch stuff and the world building, but it's not done very well. There's info dumping in literally every single chapter to explain things, and the book's just not big enough to info dump that much, if that makes any sense. Like, there's not enough time spent with the characters to justify like these info dumps that are happening, to explain like the world that they're in, and that's just kind of annoying. I also don't love the kind of fourth wall breaks that are happening. Tilda, one of the main characters, frequently will like address the reader, as if like she's writing like a letter to someone, kind of. But within like the very first, the first page, this is how it starts. Hi, waves in little like asterisks. That's me. Please don't call me Matilda. It's Tilda or Tilly if you're my oldest sister Effie. Of course, you can only get away with that because blah, 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 blah. However, can stick with Tilda. And it just makes it seem very odd. It kind of seems like Wattpad-y, which I don't love. I don't love like the direct, you know, I'm going to talk to the reader now, when it's not done in like an ironic way. It's done in kind of like a really odd way. And this book splits POVs. So the other character, Gil, he does not address the reader at all. It's only Tilda. And it just is kind of jarring. Every single time it happens, it immediately takes me out of the book. It doesn't seem super necessary because I think the author forgets that Tilda is talking to the audience during her sections. Like, it'll go back to like a normal book and then randomly she'll address the audience again. I don't know, it's really throwing me off. I do not appreciate it, to be honest. Alright, so I just finished Witcha Gonna Do, and it didn't really get any better, unfortunately, for me. So this is gonna be a 2, I think, out of 5 stars. There were some things that I liked, some moments that made me laugh, but the majority of it just wasn't fully fleshed out, wasn't all the way put together. I really felt like I was reading like a first draft of a novel rather than a completed published novel. So I don't really recommend this, especially if you want to get into like witchy romance. It just isn't great, and I feel like you'll be disappointed like I was. I was very excited for the prospect of this, but yeah, it just wasn't for me, and didn't really do, I think, the whole world justice that I was trying to build. So it was just a little unfortunate, but I do love the cover. That is one thing they definitely got right, so yeah. But I will see you tomorrow, and hopefully the next book is a little better. Good morning, it's officially day 4, and my romance of the day is going to be the Kiss Quotient? I don't know why I can't say that word. Interesting. Well, learned something new today. I have heard absolutely amazing things about this book. I've heard that it's just one of the best contemporary romances out there. So I am very, very excited to officially read it, officially kind of add it to my docket of romances that I've read, and let's get reading. I just finished this. This was absolutely amazing. I loved this so much. Honestly, I feel like this is a 5-star read for me. I really loved, out of like all of the contemporary romances that I've read, this one really showed a real relationship. Both characters were very dynamic and very well like thought out. Both characters had their own problems and their own arcs that they went on while falling in love with each other, which I loved. I loved that, you know, by being in a relationship you can learn more about yourself and develop that part of yourself. Everything about this was just absolutely fantastic, and if you're looking for a really fun, spicy contemporary romance, I highly recommend this because, again, it's just, I feel like a lot of times, especially from the contemporary romance books that I've been reading, there's all spice, no plot. And I am not a person who likes that. I like to have a story to read. I prefer that. So if you like that and you want a plot to your spice, this is the book for you. It's amazing. I absolutely loved it. Incredible. Yeah. I am not very eloquent right now, but I'm just raving over this book right now. So highly recommend. Definitely give this a read. And if you ever want to check out my full written reviews, you can check out my Goodreads, and I write more eloquent reviews there. But yes, highly recommend reading this. This is just such a fun time. Good morning, it's officially day 5, and today I'm going to be reading Red, White, and Royal Blue. This has been on my TBR for a very long time, I feel like a couple years. I've heard incredible things about it from, I feel like everyone. I feel like everyone loves this book. I haven't heard a lot of negative reviews, but basically, if you don't know, it's a love story between the son of the president of the US, and then a young prince from the UK. So that's kind of the premise of it. Other than that, I don't know really that much, but I'm excited to give it a chance and read this today. Alright, so I am officially finished with Red, White, and Royal Blue, and I absolutely loved this. It was very, very cute. I loved just overall just how hopeful it was. You know, it's a alternate reality of a better world. I wish I was living in it, but it just made me really happy. I absolutely loved the romance between the president's son and the prince. I thought it was very, very sweet, a really kind of fun way to do enemies to lovers or like rivals to lovers. All in all, I highly recommend it. I loved the like friendships that they built along the way. I thought that was very like cool and a really nice thing to add to a romance that I think a lot of romances forget. Like, side characters are just as important, and the author just did an absolutely fantastic job with that. And yeah, I don't know, I'm just like freaking out about it. I absolutely loved it. I'm like still like reeling from it, but I highly recommend. I feel like this will be like a 4 out of 5 star read for me. It was just very, very cute and sweet and all the things that you want in a romance, so highly recommend. Alright, it is officially day 6, and today I'm going to be reading Roses in the Mouth of a Lion, mainly because it's one of my shortest books, but also I think I need a little bit of a like tone shift. I've been reading a lot of like classic contemporary romance novels, and this is more of a coming of age story with romance in it, I believe. So I'm really excited because this is more of my type of book that I like to read. And also, the next 2 days I'm going to unfortunately only really have time to read during the night. So I wanted to start with my shortest book, and maybe have an earlier night than tomorrow. But either way, I'm very excited. I've heard great things, and yeah, let's get reading. So I just finished Roses in the Mouth of a Lion, and I'm a bit disappointed. I love these types of books. I love coming of age stories. I love stories that, you know, talk on different cultures, different ways of living, but also feel very relatable. The story, especially, I don't know, at least for me, was extremely relatable in specific ways, and then other ways it wasn't, and it was very unique. I loved the characters. I absolutely loved the writing, like style, the type of writing style that the author had. Unfortunately, the thing that really threw me off was the pacing. It was so slow for me. I could not get into it. I feel like every couple minutes I was wanting to stop, I was wanting to check my phone, I was wanting to be done. A book like, you know, this length usually takes me maybe 3 hours. This took me about 6 to finish, just because of like I could not, for whatever reason, get into this book, even though everything was so fascinating to me. It was so bizarre. Like, I've never had a book where I was very interested, but like couldn't read it. I don't know if I'm explaining that very well. I am very tired. But I would give this 3 out of 5 stars because I genuinely did like the story and I liked what the author was going for. I do think I'd read from this author again, but unfortunately it was just, I don't know, the pacing really threw me off. It felt like a lot of short stories spliced together in a way that didn't quite make sense to me. But other than that, if you are looking for a really like unique queer coming of age story, especially I feel like about a bi woman, I feel like you'd really like this, but it was a bit of a struggle for me to get into, which was very shocking for me. But yeah, this is gonna be book number 6, romance number 6. I'm very excited to finish it off tomorrow with our final book, but I will see you then. Alright, it is officially day 7 and the last day of me reading 7 romances in 7 days. And I kind of saved the book that I was the most excited for last, just because this has been on my TBR for forever, and that is People We Meet on Vacation. I just recently discovered Emily Henry when I read Book Lovers, and I absolutely adored that book. Because of like the sisterly relationship and also the fact it was set in a small town in North Carolina, which is, if you guys don't know, kind of where I grew up. So I just absolutely loved that book. But I'm excited to officially read another book of hers. Again, I've heard incredible things. It is a little bit longer and it is kind of late, so I will be staying up to read this, but I am just excited and ready to end this, I guess, challenge off with a book that I think I will really enjoy. So yeah. And that is book 7 officially finished. And I feel like there's no surprise here, but I loved this book. It was just, I don't know, something about the way Emily Henry writes characters and writes relationships, it just feels real, it feels realistic. Each character feels authentic and has their own reasons for things. I definitely loved Book Lovers more. And I probably am going to give this 4 out of 5 stars just because of some things that were a little frustrating to me with the book, but honestly this was absolutely fantastic. It's fascinating just how relatable this was for me. So I have back issues. I will frequently not be able to like walk because of like back pain that will like randomly appear, and Alex has a very similar problem to me. And I was just, I was so shocked. This is very random, but I was so shocked when I read that and was like, oh my gosh, that's exactly how that feels and what that experience is like, at least for me. So that was honestly wild. I loved the friends to lovers. It always gets me. And I also just really loved how each character had to go on their own personal journey. I love it when characters really have to find themselves before they can allow someone else into their lives. And I love that this book didn't shy away from that. Like, you know, people aren't perfect, and sometimes you really need to like look inward and figure out how you tick and figure out what you fear and what you like and what you don't like and all these different things before you can really allow someone else in your life. And I love that Emily Henry didn't shy away from addressing that in this book. It was just a great read. It was hopeful but realistic and real. I think it's just the best way to put it. But I highly recommend reading this if you have not. I cannot believe it took me so long to finally read Emily Henry, but I'm very glad that I have officially started, and I feel like Beach Read will definitely be next on my list of books that I need to read. And I believe she's actually coming out with a book this year, which is really exciting. I could be wrong, but I believe she is, which is just really awesome. But that is officially the end of this 7-day journey. The books I loved the most and I would recommend to you are, funnily enough, books that already are pretty popular, and that is the Kiss Quotient, obviously People We Meet on Vacation, and Red, White, and Royal Blue. I just loved the books. I thought they were very well written and fun, and I feel like just exactly what you want from a romance. You want it to be real in a way, but also just like uplifting and hopeful, especially in like the winter months in Chicago. It's nice to just read something warm and fluffy instead of something that's like very dark and dramatic. So I really love those. They were like the perfect books for this week. I would say that I would recommend the other books, but out of all the books I read, those 3 were definitely my favorites. But yeah, if you have any favorite romances that you love, please let me know down in the comments. I love reading your guys' reading suggestions, and I will be catching up on my Goodreads reviews, so don't worry, I'm still on Goodreads and I still write reviews there. I've just been a little bit busy, so all those reviews about these books and other books that I've read this year will all be written out very soon, so you can check that out on my Goodreads. But thank y'all for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!